about to touch. I repeat, the tips are about to touch. With Bitcoin right now beginning the maximum shakedown, breakdown, dumperoo all the way down to this price right here, the baby bears should be excited for what will be their likely last dumpy move before something much bigger. But just how low can the baby bears bring the Bitcoin price? You'll have your answer. So sit down, buckle your shoes, and slurp on some booze. Alcohol free, of course, because it's time to get dumped on. Right now, the price of Bitcoin seemingly is very likely to be breaking down out of this short-term, multi-week pattern down to a very specific price. And once you see what this means for Bitcoin price, when we actually zoom out, not only will your mind be completely blown, but your bones will be trembling as well, and overall it's just absolutely gigantic. So we're going to be taking a look at the Bitcoin price charts and specifically two other massive charts as well, but it is worth noting here, JP Morgan's CEO saying that more bank failures are likely to come from commercial real estate losses. The commercial real estate market has been completely crumpled, spit up, chewed down, completely chewed up, spit out, and covered in goo over the last couple of years. And that is very likely to contribute massively to further bank failures here. And how does this play into Bitcoin? Well, we are seeing today PacWest down over 20% again. Guys, I mean, what did we say? Literally 2 days ago, this banking crisis isn't over. As I've been saying, I'm going to keep saying this because it's so critical for the macro environment right now surrounding everything that also influences Bitcoin, but much more than Bitcoin as well, is that this banking crisis is nowhere even close to being over. It's crazy. Honestly though, I get comments saying a lot of different things. I don't think anyone actually has commented one time that they think the banking crisis is over. I think that's maybe the one thing people agree on. And the IMF warning as well that US default would have serious global repercussions. Big if true. Why would the IMF warn of such a thing? Well, this could get pretty big. And Will on Twitter saying this, it's insanely true. The US financial system is intentionally complicated to obfuscate the fact that it's a Ponzi scheme backed by trust. They issue new debt to pay off old debt, and after a while, when no one wants to buy their new debt, you buy it yourself with dollars you print out of thin air. It's a tricky way of doing it. And that's why I think it's so funny when anyone says that Bitcoin is a scam, because it shows these people have literally zero knowledge how anything works outside of Bitcoin also, right? If you're going to call Bitcoin a scam, you would have to assume that the people calling it a scam know something about it. But if they're calling Bitcoin a scam, it's highlighting the fact that they don't understand that the banking system is infinitely a bigger scam, and then it kind of just discredits that entire argument altogether. I mean, there are a million reasons why that's discredited anyway. I mean, for example, there's a comment underneath this by Frank Lacascio on Twitter saying the U.S. government's policy is basically trust me, bro. Whereas with Bitcoin, you can see every transaction and the 200 plus year supply schedule going past 2100 for over 100 years. You can see what the supply schedule is. You can see every transaction. So again, literally the only people that call Bitcoin a scam are just people that don't understand it because they haven't researched it for 5 minutes. The amount of people, and this is in real life too, the amount of people, or the people that I have talked to in real life that think Bitcoin is a scam, are one, some of the least intelligent people I've ever met in many regards, not just Bitcoin. Their way of thinking is flawed logically. For example, I've made this comparison before, but if I've never eaten Fruit Loops, the cereal, if I've never eaten them, I simply can't say they're not good because I've never eaten them. So when people don't do any research on Bitcoin and they call it a scam, that is the least valuable sentence, the least valuable way of thinking, period. And there's a pattern to that. People that don't do research and make bold claims or statements about things they don't understand, they don't just do that with Bitcoin. They do it with a lot of other things in their life. And it's a pattern of behavior, a pattern of thinking, and a pattern of irrational analysis or lack of analysis that they carry on with them throughout things, besides just Bitcoin. It's a giant character flaw or more of just like a logic flaw within them. And it's absolutely attributable to people with lower IQs. People with lower IQs think it's okay to say things without doing research. People with higher IQs understand that that's silly because it makes no sense to do that. But now I want to pivot over to some charts and specifically jumping into Bitcoin because something very interesting is happening right now. So before we look in the short-term charts, let's take a look at this. Stock Money Lizards on Twitter highlighting the 2014 to 2017 bust once we broke that neckline. And currently it looks as though, according to this chart, we're within a month or two of exiting this neckline as well, with him basically showing this pattern could go all the way up into the mid 150,000s per Bitcoin, which, as I've been pretty clear about over the past couple of weeks, I think that roughly about $150,000 per Bitcoin is a very reasonable target. Which it's only that's 150 is only about a 2x from their previous all-time highs of about 70K. So if it went up to 150K, that's pretty much only a 2x. And there's reasons why I don't think Bitcoin's going to go up to 1 million in this next cycle, obviously. But this chart highlights kind of a fractal repeating structure that we see in these cycles. And it's a rough estimate. You can never guess to the exact dollar or the exact time or dollar. But I personally think this makes a very big amount of sense. And combining that with Trader Tardigrade's triangle breakouts here, going back from 2012, 2016, 2020, and we're about halfway into this next one, which according to this pattern here, this ascending or symmetric triangle that Bitcoin has been historically used to forming before major bust outs, shows that basically Bitcoin has the opportunity to reach about, not quite, but around 60,000 or maybe even a little higher per Bitcoin before then consolidating for multiple months and then ultimately then beginning the bull market. Because again, I don't think we're like at the beginning. Well, I think it depends on how you word beginning of a bull market. I think there's still some sideways and some downside left to go before hitting any all-time highs. I'll say that. But are we at the optimum time to buy? I would, according to history, the answer would be yes. So it depends on how you would characterize the beginning of a bull market. Because some people think the beginning of a bull market means from here on out, we're only going to go up. But I would characterize the beginning of a bull market as relief rally, pullback sideways, and then going up. However, the beginning being the best time to buy, the lowest of the dumpiness. So just because it's the beginning of a bull market, in my opinion, doesn't mean that it's straight up. Absolutely not. And like I just said, I don't even think we're that close to hitting all-time highs. I don't think we'll hit all-time highs even this year. So there's another roughly 7 months of this year. I don't think we'll hit 70,000 in that time period. And according to this chart, I fully agree with this. I think that 50 to 60 is a decent range over the next 2 or 3 months to pump before then getting some back tests, sideways boringness, before then ultimately breaking up and breaking all-time highs and going into, as we head into the next halving and basically the next massive bull cycle. But if we take a look actually on Bitcoin's short-term chart, so we are currently breaking down out of this multi-week, about 20-day symmetrical triangle or just more so consolidation range here, which we've been trapped between about 26,000 and 30,000. And it looks as though we want to break down. Now, again, I'm pretty impressed. I personally think this could break down at any moment. So by the time we're watching, maybe we're actually breaking down to the $23,000 to $25,000 price target we've been talking about. But as you can see right now, this area of 26 to 27,000 is pretty robust. And I think that if we do break down, it might be, I think it will very quickly be reclaimed. But you can see there's another argument for this pattern, whether you want to call it a symmetrical triangle or a very loose head and shoulders pattern that could bring us down to that same target we keep mentioning. I think that's very reasonable. And I personally think this might be the bear's last chance to do that. Because after this, I think that it'll give Bitcoin the momentum to start going straight up for the next couple of months. But also, this very key moving average is right here, 21 moving average, right at about 26,000, a little over 26,000. Massive support at about 24 to 25, or more realistically, 23 to 25,000. Massive support there, bottom of the bone zone. But we also have big support around 26. So here's the thing. I desperately want to see Bitcoin get dumped on right here to really see how quickly we bounce back, what exact price levels we bounce back at, and to validate some of these levels of support, to validate that $25,000 level, or more specifically the $24,500 level. I'm curious to see if it can even get below the $26,000 level. I think it should, but So far we've had, you know, basically the way this is going to happen is just like how it's happened over the past 6 months, which if we look on this like 5-day chart, it's going to be one of these. It's going to be one of these big dumpy candles. So let's say like this week even, let's say 5 minutes from now, whenever it happens, let's say we see a candle like this that did exactly what it has done the past couple of months. That's how I think this breakdown is more likely to go, because we've just been trading sideways, as you can see on this chart, and this chart has just been sideways, boring, ranging. There is going to be a bust down, and it is going to bring us lower if it's confirmed there. And I think the way it's going to happen is just like we've seen it every time thus far. And as long as it holds above 20,000, then it's bullish consolidation, not bearish destructive price action. I would call it bullish constructive price action. Also, if we zoom out even more on the 10-day chart, what that would look like on this chart is exactly what I would think would be the healthiest possible situation for this continued breakout of this 2-year-long falling wedge. So where we are currently right now, you see us rolling over, bring us back down, retest these highs right here, and cement them. If we cement them as support right there, and then ultimately bounce into the summer of this year, into like September and October, up to I mean, really, depending on how quickly we can slice through some of these things, if we bounce here, could go up even to the mid 40,000s, depending. Because again, this is a very strong long-term pattern, but right now what this calls for, in my opinion, is a further dump pullback to retest and reclaim these levels, because we have not, ever since we really broke 24 to 25,000, we have not come back to backtest it. And this chart illustrates that very well. So you can see we got resistance here, we broke above it. Now if we come back and retest and try and claim this right here as support, exactly how I have this drawn here, that is the healthiest consolidation within this wider context breakout that we could ask for. And also, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, the tips are about to touch. On this 30-day chart, we're about to get this cross. And again, signaling more long-term momentum for Bitcoin. All we need, realistically, is a couple more weeks, and this could turn into something extremely, extremely bullish. And make sure to sign up with Femex or BitGet below if you're interested in trading, earning massive deposit bonuses and sign-up bonuses. It takes 30 seconds. There are tutorials popping up in the description as well. And you will earn free XPT, up to 10,000 free XPT, simply by trading anything when you sign up with my link below to Femex. Without further ado, that's it for me.